What up? What up? You know what time it is. It's RJ Fantasy Football talking. We back, people. Week 5. Hey, it was a good week for your boy. But you know what it is. It's Rodney and JJ. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on? Things were not so good for your boy over here.
It's a good week for
The
your
the,
boy,
the, the
man. I'm trying to tell
losing
you.
continues. I got a team that's 0-5. I won 2 out of 9 games
Woo!
this week. I mean,
Jeez.
this has been the worst fantasy football year that I can remember since I don't know. I don't think I've ever been this awful. So I've got nothing good to say. But how about you? How are things
I
with
went
you?
5-1 this week.
Yeah.
Um, it was good. I got my first win in Dynasty. I didn't
Okay.
expect that to happen.
Yeah. One in the league that you're supposed to be tanking in.
I'm trying to tank for Shador, but they won't allow me to tank for Shador for some reason. Trying to keep getting me to win. So I got a possible win this week against the. I played the third man this week, and
Okay.
he just worse off as me. So
Yeah. Things are not good for the third man in the dynasty league.
I mean, at the end of the day, but other than that, I'm in first place in one league. I'm in fourth place in two leagues, and I think I'm in eighth or ninth, third in another one. So I'm looking good so far. And it's starting to kind of look good. All my players, I feel like my teams are good. I ain't got to really go. It's structured where I need it to be now. So I'm good.
Stuff is coming together for you. I'm glad to hear that. Our producer, is joining us in the chat. Unfortunately, she suffered an injury. She's on IR right now, much like most of the NFL. So she's recuperating on the couch. Had a little had a ankle sprain
Ooh,
incident. So high ankle
okay.
sprain. Um, we're looking at about 3 to 4 weeks.
4 weeks. That sound
Hopefully
about
have her
right on
back.
IR.
Yeah,
IR
yeah, yeah.
4 weeks. Yeah, that's about
So,
right.
so,
So she can miss about 4 games.
yeah. But
Okay, okay, okay,
she's trying to pull through. She's trying to pull through.
okay.
But
Nothing wrong
hey.
with that. You gotta do what you gotta do. Yep. I ain't mad at that.
Hey, and of course I don't know exactly what her record was for the week, but it's better than mine because she is still dominated and undefeated in our dynasty league, and doing wonderful things. And then in the defensive league that she won the championship in last year, she's doing. She looking like she'll be a contender to repeat. So my mom's Simon, she is 5-0
5
in
no.
the comedy club league.
Ooh,
We're actually in the same division, and so I'm number 2. So I'm rooting for her to lose at some point, so I can take the
five
number
no.
1 spot. But
5 no. Ooh,
yeah, she's killing it over there.
that's what's
Um,
up. I like
yeah,
that.
our producer said she was 2-2 on the week. So yes, hey, she's in 4 leagues and won just as many games as I won in my 9 leagues. So
Hey,
yeah.
you, yeah, I feel like though
uh,
this time of the year is kind of the start of when the season really starts to
yeah,
get ramped
yeah.
up because a lot of players are going on bye weeks. So you can kind of start getting your bearings together and getting some wins because you playing teams that's probably between injuries and bye weeks,
Uh
you're
huh.
probably playing people that got a bunch of guys that's filling in with a bunch of guys that ain't gonna probably do much. So long as you got a good team from top to bottom and you structured it the right way, I think you'll
Yeah,
be all right.
I still have faith. I've been 0-5 before, and I've come back to win a championship. It was many years ago, but I'm thinking I'm that same cat. So I'm gonna turn things around.
Yeah.
Catherine Bracy, my aunt's joining the show from the ATL. Happy birthday to her. She had a birthday party last weekend and having another party this weekend coming up. So she's keeping the ball rolling. I won't say her age online because women and their ages they might not want to know. But if she wants to put it in the chat, it's a number she should be proud of. Um,
Okay. Well,
and
happy
and,
birthday.
and instantly coming with the salt about the Cowboys winning that game. Did you see that one?
They should have lost, but okay. I mean, Dak, I don't know. See, Jerry Jones got to think about that.
Uh huh.
That's $60 million, boy.
It's too late to think about it. It's
The way
already
Dak is
done.
playing, boy. Woo. That could scare you, boy.
Mm-hmm.
You have your pins and noodles all game, thinking about what interceptions and turn fumbles. That got to kind of chill out. So
But
I don't know what's going on
I
with
was
that.
reading somewhere they said that he had a bad game part of the way, but he came back when it mattered. So they should be proud of him. I'm like, oh, I guess you
I
should look
guess
at it that way. But
half glass full.
against a better team, those mistakes will be costly. And all right, 75 and fabulous. So,
I
so
take
so she
that
didn't
because
mind me throwing it out there. So yeah, so we had a good time. We actually went down to celebrate. Well, for her first party part one was in Virginia, and then
okay.
party part two is down back in the ATL. So cheers to you.
All right, that's what's up. Well, happy 25th birthday.
I see what you're doing there. Not bad, not bad.
Hey, that's what you gotta do, man. You can't tell them nigga. You can't say happy on the same degree age. You gotta give them.
Yeah,
You gotta make them a little bit younger.
make make it make it look good.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Well, hey,
Uh,
this was a crazy week. Rookies did some phenomenal things in the NFL. We'll get to a bit of that. But do
yes,
you want to jump into some news and stuff,
of
or you
course.
got some other
Let's,
stuff you want to throw out
it's only
first?
one thing I really want to talk about.
Uh huh.
Um, let's talk about this Robert Sala situation with the
Okay.
Jets. He got fired, but a lot of stuff is coming out
Yeah.
about what he did, how it went down, and you don't know what's true and what's not true. So
What we do know is true is not Aaron Rodgers' fault. He made that
I
patently clear. If you
don't
believe him.
believe that at all,
Right.
because I heard that the owner had a conversation with Aaron Rodgers before this happened, um, and also he word on the street is, I ain't gonna say if it was rumor or not because I don't know if it's true or not. But they saying that Robert Sala was gonna demote the offensive coordinator to
Yeah.
call the
Yeah. I
plays.
think that one has been confirmed.
Yes,
Or but yeah.
and they said that he was gonna. Well, he did demote him. He was gonna. He did demote him, and then a couple hours later, he lost
Yeah.
his job. Now, if you know anything about Hackett, Hackett
Hmm.
is really close with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
They're really close friends. That's the only reason Hackett is there is because of Aaron Rodgers. So when that happened, I'm pretty sure Aaron wasn't too happy about that being the situation. And I'm pretty sure he went to the owner and said, "Look, I don't like this. What can we do about this?" But then someone else came out and said that Aaron could have saved his job, but he chose not to.
Hmm.
So it's like, what do you believe and what you don't believe? But my thing is, what if I'm just an outside person looking in? I still think Aaron Rodgers is going to TV all day long and say that I ain't had nothing to do with it.
He was blindsided.
Really?
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, he's blindsided. Okay. Um, I don't believe that. Not one bit.
Not even
I
a little
believe that
bit.
he
No.
knew. I believe Woody Johnson talked to him and told him that he was getting fired, and he just wanted to make it seem like he was blindsided. Which
Uh.
in turn, like, come on, man. Really, he just demoted your guy from officer coordinator, and now you saying you're okay with
Yeah.
that? Nah, don't make sense. I don't believe it.
Yo, the weirdest thing, and by the way, shout out to Jamal joining us. He's just I know he did mention he was big on the rookies this year, and they are showing out. But I was reading somewhere that this is the first time that Woody Johnson's ever fired a coach
Mid-season,
mid-season, and
yes.
if you know the Jets, they've had some bad coaches, including Adam Gase for
Mm-hmm.
one, who did not get fired in the middle of the year. But this one was a bit too much. So I don't believe any of the Aaron Rodgers being blindsided. I
Me
think
either.
he was fully involved in this decision, and that's the reason why Salah's no longer there. Hey, welcome comics multiplication back to the show. It said, it was over when Aristotle. Yeah, that sideline the
Yeah.
incident where he was trying to hug and kind of brushed him off, pushed him a little bit. Yeah, things weren't happy, but my only thing about it is if you watch these games, the game they just played over in London town. I didn't see Salah throwing interceptions. I saw Aaron
Well, see,
Rodgers
but
threw several of them,
that
and I've
so
seen
and
that
that's the
offense look terrible this whole season.
and that's the thing
Yeah.
that I don't understand. Because I'm not a huge fan of Shannon Sharp and the things he say, but Shannon Sharp made a great point the
Mm-hmm.
other day, and it was like because I think Dan Orlovsky
Yeah.
said he didn't blame Aaron Rodgers for Salah losing his job. He blamed somebody else or whatever. And
Okay.
then, but so Shannon was like, wait a minute. Any other time you would have blamed the quarterback of that team
Mm-hmm.
for losing that job. But now you don't want to blame Aaron Rodgers. You want to protect Aaron Rodgers now. Aaron Rodgers has been playing horrible, and
Garbage.
now you want to
Mm-hmm.
protect him. Now, like you said, last time I checked, Salah wasn't on the field throwing
Yeah.
interceptions. Like, let's be real now. So at the end of the day, you can't sit here and he can't sit here and not get blamed for it because if he would have played better, Salah would have had a job.
What they said that the reason Salah was fired was because they didn't meet the expectations, and the expectation was based off for something they saw last year. Zach Wilson was the blame for everything, but once they threw in Aaron Rodgers, everything was going to get better. You saw professional sports commentators saying that the Jets were going to be a playoff team and competing for the Super Bowl because Aaron Rodgers was there. I didn't understand any of it myself. Like I said, I think the Jets have some nice building blocks. Just a couple of years ago, they had the Rookie of the Year on offense and defense, so they
Yeah.
got some stuff. They have a decent enough defense, but that team, if they were contending for a Super Bowl, we would have seen it despite Zach Wilson. And quite frankly, they look worse than they did last year in several statistical categories. So
I
it's
mean,
going to
but
be
like,
interesting to see what they
but
do this week.
but see, to me, that I think that's crazy for you to even suggest
Yeah,
that they are a Super Bowl team
yeah,
when their line ain't the greatest. Like
yeah,
you can't see and tell me his O line is terrible, and then on top of that, Aaron Rodgers has been playing bad. I don't.
yeah,
There's no way around this, man. There's no way he can sit here and say, "Oh, I was surprised and I didn't know this was gonna happen." That is complete BS. First of all,
oh yeah,
because at the end of the day, you don't even care for the man too much because you showed that on national TV, and now all of a sudden you're gonna the show that everybody wants to go on Pat McAfee and say,
yeah,
you know what, I had nothing to do with that. You know, Pat gonna agree with you because you on his show every week. So let's be real now. So at the end of the day, I think it's kind of crazy that for him to even say I had nothing to do with it. Because if you would have played better those first 3 weeks, 4 weeks, he would have a job.
yeah.
Now, is another thing they saying. I don't know how true this is, but if you notice what he had on his sleeve,
Oh, what
um,
Salah had
yes,
from
on his
the
sleeve,
11, yeah,
and they saying a lot of people was upset because he had that patch on his sleeve, and I guess Woody Johnson got the phone call. Hey, we ain't happy about that situation. Blah blah blah. Something need to happen. And it's funny he got
yeah.
nobody's bringing that up though. And if you Google it, it'll
Did you?
show up.
Yeah, there's a lot of social media comments on it, but it's not something that you're gonna see a lot of mainstream people draw attention to.
Hmm.
But I would like to think that has nothing to do
I would like to
with
think
why
it doesn't
he
either.
got fired. I hope it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't
I
either.
hope it isn't.
I don't like the way they because they escorted him out of the building.
Yeah, that was
That
wild.
was kind of foul.
I
Like
was like,
he couldn't even talk to
they
the
wouldn't let
players
him
and let them
speak to
know.
the players or anything. Just booted him. Uh, it's a messy situation, but the Jets are historically a messy. And Woody Johnson's a terrible. If you don't know, Google him. He's a terrible owner and a quite frankly, a terrible person. So I'm not
So,
surprised by too much of it.
so my
Did we
question
say
is,
welcome to the third man? I see him
no,
chiming in
what's
the
going on,
comments.
brother? What's going on,
Yeah,
Shaq?
talking about Devontae won't go. Here's the question.
He ain't going there. I wouldn't go there now.
Since we're talking news, the Raiders stay in the news. And one is Devontae Adams. For the third straight week, is suffering from a hamstring injury.
Well, you know what the coach said. You know what the coach said.
Hamstring, I know, right?
He said,
So
"Don't ask me, ask Devontae." He said, "I don't
yeah,
know what's wrong with him." Devontae, see, you're the Raiders. You're
yeah.
the Raiders guy, right? Is that a bad look on Devontae?
It's a
That's
horrible look on
okay.
him, but he's gonna get away with it because it's the Raiders, and
Okay.
the natural assumption is gonna be the Raiders are a messed up franchise, which is true. I'm not I'm not gonna say that they aren't,
Hmm.
but we have a history. I was talking with someone earlier this week. The Raiders have a history of bringing in these top wide receivers and it going poorly. Randy Moss, who would just walk through his routes when he was with the Raiders. The
Yeah.
guy who's dead to me, who didn't even make it to the season. The last time we brought in a high profile wide receiver and it actually worked
Jerry
was your
Rice.
guy, Jerry
Jerry
Rice.
Rice.
Jerry Rice
Yep.
was the last time. And the one that was, I wouldn't call him high profile, but he also worked your guy again, Michael Crabtree. So
Yep.
we needed to get Brandon Ayuk because apparently bringing in 49er wide receivers are the only thing that work for the Raiders.
I
But
don't know.
we didn't make that happen, so it is what it is. But Devontae Adams still has his hamstring problem, and I don't think it's gonna get better until he gets traded. So the Jets were a place people were saying he could go, so he could get back with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if I wouldn't do that right now. People were talking about the Saints, and Derek Carr's hurt, so I don't know if he wants to do that right now. But if you've been watching, he on the social media put a picture of Edgar Allan Poe, who is famously from right here in Baltimore. So will we see Devontae Adams hooking back up with Lamar? Well, not back up, but hooking
Over
up
Lamar.
with Lamar Jackson, making that offense even more interesting.
Um, I would like that because we gonna talk about Lamar in a little bit, but Lamar
Mm-hmm.
looked great Sunday. He looked excellent Sunday, bro. And like he's getting the passing thing down a little bit. So
Yeah,
I mean, he needs a weapon, and I mean like bad outside of the one he got already. But they
this
need a second
yeah,
receiver
he
bad.
has Zay Flowers, who's
Yeah,
his number one rate for. Hey, Rashad Bateman looked good this week, but now he's
yeah,
already hurt again. So we'll see how serious his injury. But Rashad Bateman stays hurt, so they need a reliable guy and a veteran like Devontae Adams
yeah.
would definitely come in. So going to the questions, like do we think the Jets affects comics multiplications? Asking, do we think that affects where Adams goes? I wouldn't have like we said, I wouldn't have the Jets high on my list at this point.
Mm-mm.
There's too much confusion going on, and another thing someone else brought out is he already left a great situation to go to with the Raiders, only for that to blow up, and then you go again. Aaron Rodgers might be retiring, and so I wouldn't go there just for the sake of you're going to be back in the same situation. So
Situation.
I think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens,
It's
going
probably the
with
best
what
place to
Shaq is saying,
go.
is that's the best one. You mentioned the Buffalo Bills as a potential destination as well. I still like the idea of that one, but I think this Baltimore one is probably the one that's going to take
Honestly,
off.
I still believe Buffalo is probably a better situation because if you watch Buffalo the last 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo needs him more than anybody in the NFL right now because they have absolutely nothing to throw to. And it's showing now because Josh
Yeah,
Allen practically willed the team back
yeah,
last week on his own. So I think Buffalo and the Raiders are a good place, good landing place for him. But I
yeah,
feel like Buffalo is probably, for me, is the best place because they need him the most because
yeah.
they have nothing at receiver. At
And
least Zay
they
Flowers
look
is
to
there.
pass more than the
The,
Ravens
the
do, so
Ravens,
it
yep.
might be a better fit. But you know, I,
And it's still a good team.
yeah,
They're a good team. It's just Josh Allen has to do so much for them
too
to
much.
win.
He
It's
has to do
insanely
too
crazy.
much.
And I think going there will probably be his best bet. So And another one is Washington, because Washington out the second receiver is nowhere to be found in Washington.
Right.
So him and Scary Terry out there together with I think that'll be good. But I feel like Buffalo is probably the best place for him.
Yeah.
But my question for you is, if the Jets don't make the playoffs this year,
Which they
so
probably won't, but yeah.
which they probably won't, who's your scapegoat? Because you got rid of yeah, obviously the person you wanted to scapegoat.
The problem, the original scapegoat was Zach Wilson. He was ruining everything.
Mm-hmm.
They got rid of him, and that didn't work. They got rid of the coach now, and so you can say I'm interested to see who's going to be the interim coach. I haven't seen that.
They said it's
Is
the
it going to be Hackett?
no, it's not
Or
Hackett. They
yeah,
said the defensive coordinator.
okay.
Yeah.
So I don't see that situation getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so who's left to blame but Aaron Rodgers?
But are they gonna do that though? Because
They should. Well, I say this. As a person who went high on Brees Hall as my number one running back in several leagues, I'm blaming Aaron Rodgers because Brees Hall looked better with Zach Wilson, and so
yeah,
I'm gonna say it's all his fault.
they're not gonna blame Aaron Rodgers. They're gonna blame. I don't know who you would blame
I mean,
personally
who's
because
left to blame?
well, what they're gonna say is, well,
Woody Johnson?
he's guaranteed $50 million this year, next year. So either way you look at it, I don't know how much blame gonna be passed to him anyway because of just the
Yeah.
money he's owed, and they made that big of an investment in him, which they shouldn't have in the first place because of his age.
Mm-hmm.
I would have went a younger route or something else. I mean, you went Zach Wilson, but I wouldn't have went Aaron Rodgers. So and he looks slower coming off that injury
I mean,
anyway.
and I think that's to be kind of expected that we mentioned he's coming off there. He's not going to be that MVP guy that they thought definitely
Mm-hmm.
not this first year. Um, there's literally no one to blame. I always say it starts and ends with the head coach and the quarterback because that's who gets
Mm-hmm.
all the credit when things are good. That's who you should blame when things go bad as well.
Okay.
So that's my opinion. Um,
So
staying in
good.
in recent news, I mentioned Devontae Adams wanted to leave, but now announced today we have a new guard as the quarterbacks.
Oh gosh.
Moving from no, this is big news for everybody for fantasy football. Don't go get Aiden O'Connell. I'm just playing. I don't think it makes much of a fantasy impact. I'm looking forward to seeing what Aiden O'Connell looks like. Given a chance, because hey, the last time they switched to him was when we started our winning streak. But it was a different situation. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think Aiden O'Connell is great. I would not put him as my recommend for your fantasy lineups, but I would monitor. I think he's going to do better in the offense than Gardner Minshew
Yes.
was. And I said it for semi-selfish reasons, but you look at the tape. I was saying Aiden O'Connell should be the starter from the beginning. So hopefully he doesn't make me look too bad, and maybe we could get the win this weekend over Pittsburgh.
Oh
We'll see.
gosh. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of rumblings about my team, the 49ers, about the panic button and should we be panicking
Yes.
about the last two losses and things of that nature. Um, how do you feel about that? I mean, I'm the resident 49er fan, obviously, but from outside looking in,
I was going to ask you
now
what do
outside
you make
looking
of it.
in,
I say this: the crazy part is they were these last two losses were both winnable games,
okay,
in my opinion, and the fact that they lost them would have me panicking because CMC ain't coming back probably in my opinion. And if he does come back, it's going to be so far at the end of the season that is pretty much already over and done with, and there's no real need to put him in there if
hmm
they don't turn this thing around. But I don't know where the salvation, for the lack of a better, comes with because if he's not there, who's because Debo's back,
yes.
and so what else do you got to look forward to? other than
Now,
what's already there, and they've lost. The big tale I think would be this week, uh, to see. In fact, tomorrow
all
to
right,
see
yeah,
what they do, because they've lost 2 games in their division already,
3 games in the conference.
and in the conference
Yeah.
they're getting behind the 8 ball, and I don't think the NFC is at that level where you can get too far behind. They need to start winning games like immediately.
So
But
let me
yeah,
ask you:
I'm panicked if I'm
Is
the
any
49ers.
is anybody's job on the line if we don't make the playoffs?
It should be the coaches, right? I mean, they fired Salah for not meeting expectations, and they couldn't have. But so to me, I don't see how high the expectations could have possibly been for the Jets. There's some real expectations for the 49ers.
Okay.
They should have already won 2 Super Bowls with that team by now. If they fail to make the playoffs, or they get bounced early from the playoffs, much like Dallas does every year,
Mm.
I think somebody's head has to roll. And the only head that's rollable, because they're locking up so many of these players with these big money contracts. It's not
Can't
going
get
to be
rid
the
of them.
players, and despite the recent losses, I think Brock Purdy is still going to get a big payday. So the only well, unless you're going to get rid of John Lynch, that's the only other name I
I
can
mean,
think
because
of.
they
But
came
I
in
can't blame him, because
because
that on paper that team is like
well, they came in
winners.
together. I
Yeah,
don't think you. The problem is can it not, and I don't think honestly do they really fire him? I doubt it. I doubt
yeah.
it seriously.
I
Because they
doubt
just
it, but he's
they
going to
just
be on
gave
the
him a
hot
new
seat, I think.
he's definitely on the hot seat, but they just
Yeah,
gave him a new contract
yeah,
this year. Well, last year actually. So me personally, the question is if you bring another coach in, can he mix with John? Or is that going to be a John Lynch hire as far as
yeah,
bringing in the next coach? Because that would have to be a John Lynch hire.
yeah,
It wouldn't be a owner's hire, even though yes, they're the owners, but John Lynch will have much influence
yeah.
on who that next coach is. Can he mix, or what kind of role would that coach have, being the way it is now, where Shanahan has a bigger role than Lynch? Because now it reverts back to Lynch having a bigger role than he's just being a coach. And I think that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think Shanahan got his hands in too much, and I think he's trying to be the slash GM coach or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Sometimes and then be the offensive coordinator. You need to hire a offensive coordinator to call plays.
Yeah.
You don't trust nobody else to run the offense, which you're putting too much into it. You're not allowing yourself just to be a coach and oversee everything. And to me, I think that's crazy. But the reason I ask the question because I think it's the panic is real. I think it's about if you're asking me 1 out of 10, I'm telling you 11 because
Wow. Okay.
I mean, because think about it. If we lose this week,
Yeah. If
we're
you
0
lose
3.
this week, I'm at
We're
a
0 3 in
12.
the division. Um, and then on top of that, that's a dog. We done lost 3 games in the division already, and it's gonna be hard enough just to get in the
Yeah.
playoffs like that. So number one seed is out of the picture. You can forget that, and everybody's still getting hurt.
Yeah.
They're not. We lose. We just lost our safety. He got hurt. He out for 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
So injuries are piling up, and nobody's coming back. So, and I think we look. To me, I think we look a little slow
Mm-hmm.
as far as and I think we'll get a little longer than two as far as the veterans there. I think we need to go on a youth movement pretty soon
Yeah.
to try to kind of get some
Gonna
youth
have to.
there. So that's my thinking. But
Well,
I
I go to a different sport. And by the way, Shaq's talking about Pickens, his other wide receiver. I don't know if that's connected to something else I
yeah,
didn't see
let us know,
earlier.
Shaq. What
But
you talking
I
about?
like you like Pickens, so so it's.
I'm
But
a Pickens guy.
I'm gonna go to a different sport. The WNBA is in the midst of their playoffs, and we saw, despite Asia Wilson being the unanimous MVP, we saw that team get bounced by the
Mm,
Liberty.
yeah.
And one of the things that the head coach Becky Harmon said was it's hard to keep that edge after you've been on top for a while. And this going back to the 49ers, they've been probably the best team in the NFC for several years
Mm-hmm.
right now. Even when the Rams got in the Super Bowl, the 49ers were probably the on paper at least the best team. And
Yeah.
after a while of making those deep playoff runs, it's hard to keep that edge. And going to your point of health, it's hard to stay healthy.
Yes.
And I think we're starting to see some deterioration with that team. They don't have the edge. They you kind of get complacent. Everyone got paid, so
Yes.
it's not
That's the
it's
that's the
not
thing.
it's not the same thing as it was when you were that underdog trying to scrap your way up to the top. When you get to that high level, that's why it's hard to repeat
Mm-hmm.
that success year after year. Shout out to the Patriots who managed to do it for an
For
extremely
years,
long time.
long time.
Um, and so for now, it looks like the Chiefs are trying to do that as well. But it's hard to stay on top, and I think we're starting to see a 49ers collapse. We'll see if they can turn it
But
around
I
this
honestly,
week.
I think it's different with the Chiefs though, because the
Yeah,
Chiefs they're in a mix of
yeah,
a kind of a youth movement in certain
mm-hmm.
positions, but still have that veteran at other
They,
positions. Like
they have
obviously
that
Mahomes.
core group
Yeah,
with Mahomes and Travis Kelsey, but we've seen they just switch out wide receivers
receivers like it ain't
like
nothing. So
who's up next, and we see the same thing they do with their defensive backs.
same
They,
thing.
they just okay come in and they've been acing the draft with their
So
defensive backs.
and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So it's like they're bringing in youth, but they're also keeping the Mahomes and the
yeah,
Kelseys, even some of like the defensive like Chris Jones.
yeah,
They're keeping those guys around from a veteran standpoint, to also make sure the team is okay, make sure
yeah,
the team is good. And my thing with that is that's and they did that and it started and they did it the thing with Kansas City, they did it at the
uh-huh.
right time with Tyreek Hill. And I think that's when that youth movement
Yeah.
started with Tyreek Hill because we don't want to pay
They
you
didn't
this
want to
money.
get set in there like some
Yes.
teams are with Debo and
Yep.
Brandon Ayuk. They said if you want that much money,
Go
deuces.
somewhere. Yeah. So
we
now
yeah
they got room, they got
it,
money to
to
pay
pay
these guys.
the defense players that
Yep.
in the offensive line, and so
Yep.
they like you said they're not the same. They're different in as much as it's not that exact same roster like the 49ers trying to do it over and over again. They're
Yeah.
interchanging parts and like you said, just keeping this core. So yeah, maybe that's really what the Patriots did too,
Every
because
year.
the Patriots were cheap on a dime. They wouldn't even pay Tom Brady.
Belichick. The one thing
Yeah.
about Belichick and what you watched Belichick over the years,
Hmm.
Belichick always got rid of a player a year before he was too old.
Yeah.
Always, and that's a format that he always used. But he always he
Yeah.
kept Tom, but at some point he wanted to get rid of Tom for Jimmy Garoppolo. Just saying that and it doesn't even make sense. But you remember at one point
Yeah.
they was gonna start Jimmy Garoppolo over Tom Brady
Hmm.
and let him move on, but that don't even sound right. That sounds stupid.
Tragedy avoided from
Yes, that
two
sounds
people
so
who had
stupid.
Jimmy Garoppolo as a
Yes, that
quarterback in
sounds
their
so
team. Yeah.
stupid. Lord have mercy. But that outside of
Yeah.
Tom, they got rid of. I mean, you got to think about it. They have receivers like Troy Brown,
Hmm.
um,
Guys you ain't never
Wes
heard of
Welker.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, like guys that
Except for
was.
that one year with Randy Moss. It was just
That's it. I mean,
random
but if you think about
dudes.
the other receivers, Wes Walker, Troy Brown,
Julian Edelman.
Julian Element,
Yeah.
like guys that was passed on from other teams that just wasn't. They weren't good, and Tom made them good. So it's like they
Danny
knew, even
Amendola.
another
Another
one.
one
He
that
was
was
on
there.
he
Yeah.
was on the Dolphins team. Nobody thought about him on the Dolphins. So it to me it's like you have to be that way nowadays.
Yeah.
You have to, and I mean I get you don't want a bunch of youth there, but you want to have enough to make these other guys
Yeah.
at least stay energized. Because if you keep bringing in the same crowd and the same players, it's every year it's like, oh yeah, we'll be there. We just gonna turn that switch on when we want to,
Yeah.
and it don't work that way. You can't just turn that switch on all the time like that. So,
Well,
uh,
I'm just going to contradict one thing you said and say maybe you do want that youth because this week's topic is the youth
yeah,
that was shining in the NFL.
I get
Uh,
yes,
let's hit on some of that.
Okay.
We saw. Well, I don't know. You might want to hit these in the hot. Let's do
Let,
the hot players because
let's
the
get the hot
rookies will
players out of
pop
the way
up in
first.
there because that way
Yeah.
we don't double take. By the way, welcome to the show, ATL flag football. That's because again down in the ATL. Um,
What's up,
so
man?
good to have you with us. Maybe we'll talk some Pittsburgh Steelers while we here. Um, who's the hot players? Who do you got on your list?
Quarterback, of course, you got to say Kirk Cousins. He
Idiot
was
that
40.
did not have him in the starting lineup in two
Didn't have him in
leagues.
lineup.
Yeah,
He
I
was
could have hit two more
42.
wins with that.
You needed those 2 wins, by the
I
way.
needed those
Lord.
wins.
He was 42 of 58 for 509, 4 touchdowns and an interception.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Barrow, 30 of 39,
Yeah.
392, 5 touchdowns and an interception. Trevor Lawrence finally came and played
Who
football for
knew?
some reason. 28 of 34 for 371 and 2 touchdowns. Joe Flacco coming off the bench again, man. Something about this guy, Joe Flacco, man. I don't know. 33 of 44, 359, 3 touchdowns. Dak Prescott, 29 of 42,
Uh,
352, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But I want to give a special shout out to Lamar Jackson.
oh, okay, sure, go
Lamar
for it.
Jackson,
Yeah, he
26
deserves.
of 26 of 42, 348, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And the play he made when he fumbled the
Oh,
snap, picked it up, and he stiff armed that guy twice and threw a touchdown was amazing.
that play was insane.
So I just want to shout out, and I know I'm probably missing some other guys, but
You are.
I know, but I would have had a longer list. But we got to keep it short with this list. So, but Lamar definitely, I want to shout him out on that because he definitely
Yeah,
deserves to be on this list.
Lamar did some work in that game.
Yes.
But you left out my man Caleb Williams, who had his best game I think as a pro. Threw for 304 yards, 20 for 29. Did he hit those 2 touchdowns? Yes, he did. He had 34 yards rushing, and 34 yards is more than it looks like because he had those rushing when they needed them to move the ball. Every week, we've seen Caleb look better and better. It was a disaster week one, admittedly so. But I think he listened to R&J, and he's trying to pull things together because he says, you know what, that dude said I was going to be a 4,000-yard passer. I'm going to break the Bears record. Hey, he needs to do a little bit more, but he's getting himself ready to be in that mix. He might pull it off.
One thing I like what they're doing with him is because honestly, let's be real. Are they playing really anybody? So, but that's another subject. But what I think they're doing is I think they're shortening the field for him, and what they're doing is instead of him taking the long shot every play or attempting to take the long shot every play, they're shortening the field because you're seeing people like Swift get involved more now.
Yeah, the running game is starting to come
Running
alive.
game is there.
Yeah,
so
it looked bad at first.
Or look horrible at first.
It looked horrible.
Yes. But they shortening the game for him. Not short routes in turn, but shorter 15-yard, 10, 15-yard gains instead of going for the home run every play they're making it simple for him. And you can tell they're making it simple for him because he's playing better. So and he's not one of his problems was he was holding the ball a little bit too long in these games. Now he's getting rid of it.
He's making better decisions and it's making them faster. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would agree on that.
So you're with me.
Oh no, I'm
Caleb Williams is the future. Just say it.
Yeah,
let the people know.
I still think
he's won you over. You can still have Jaden Daniels as your number one and rookie of the year. That's fine. I'm with you. Jaden Daniels is awesome also.
But again, they ain't played nobody. So if you want to go there, but like
Caleb Williams is your dude. That's right. All right.
No, they haven't played nobody.
All right. Let's hit running backs.
Tyrone Tracy Jr. Don't know where he came out of somewhere. Just he shot out of a cannon.
Another rookie doing his doggone thing.
18 carries, 129, no touchdowns. Karen Williams, 22 carries, 102 yards. Kareem Hunt has came back into a Chiefs uniform and looks totally
like
different.
He did when he started there, right?
Yes. 27 carries, 102 and a touchdown. And Tank Bigsby.
My man.
13 carries, 101 and 2 touchdowns.
Go back and watch last year's show. I was talking about Tank Bigsby.
Oh, you was big on Tank Bigsby.
He didn't do anything for me last year.
What the coach kind of shot that down right after that,
I know, right?
and said that
Yeah.
it's not a quarter, it's not a running back
Running back.
competition, and
Uh huh.
it's you don't have to worry about that.
Uh huh.
ETN is the guy.
It's
So I
Tank
was
Bisbee time, everybody.
uh
I will say, if he's still available in your league, he shouldn't be. People were rushing to pick him. I picked him up in a couple of league redraft. I had him in my dynasty league. In fact, he's on my taxi squad. I might have to elevate him to the regular
I
lineup.
mean, I would
But
give it a
Tank
couple. I would
is
give it one more week or so just to see.
but if Bixby's out there, get ahead of the crowd. I was a year ahead. It's coming.
I mean, we'll see. The coach talking different, so
Yeah,
we'll
he's
see.
talking different, but I ain't
Yeah.
listening to him. It's
Okay.
Tank Bigsby season.
We go to receivers. And then we got Jamal Chase, 10 receptions, 193, 2 touchdowns. Did you see that run he did when he caught the
Yes.
screen and cut everybody up? Yeah, that was crazy. Drake London, and I was big. I was a big on Drake London this
Mm-hmm.
offseason with Kirk Cousins. 12 receptions, 154 and a touchdown. My boy finally showed up. Brandon Ayuk showed up and played some
Where he
football.
been, I don't know, but I'm glad he showed up. Yeah,
He missed training camp and he had to get in football
training
shape.
camp.
8 receptions, 147, 0 touchdowns. Alec Pierce is a guy that you need to pick up because they just lost their
Yeah, they
receiver.
lost Pittman.
They lost Pittman for maybe 4 weeks because he may go on
Yeah.
IR. But he had 3 receptions, 134 in the touchdown. He
He
averaged
never
44 yards a
Yeah,
catch.
he never gets a lot of receptions, but when he catches the ball, it's
It's
always for
yes,
long completion. So he's one of those. He's gonna be one of those boomer bust guys. But I'd
yes.
rather have him booming and busting on my
Well,
team,
I don't
even
know,
if it's on
not
my
not,
bench. But
not
but
now
but with
because
the yeah, but you're right though. With the injury, he might boom a little bit more
yeah,
than
exactly.
he normally does.
And the last guy is this guy. I'm not a fan of this guy. I was never a fan of this guy, but he showed out. Juju Smith
I was
is.
wondering where you're gonna give my man some
Uh,
props.
I'm gonna give him some props
It's
because
Juju season. You talk
Juju.
about injuries. Oh, hold up. Wasn't it someone over boom, 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 right here that said if there's someone that's going to benefit from Rasheed Rice, I said it's going to be iffy because that they love to spread the ball. But if there's a guy you can bet on, who did I say it
Eh,
was? Did I
you
say
said it,
Juju?
but I still
Did I
think
say
Worthy
Juju?
is. I
Yes.
still think Worthy is the
Oh yeah,
number one guy.
Worthy is that guy.
I just feel
He
like Juju. I ain't gonna say he has a better connection with Pat Mahomes, but I feel like he has because they
he
played together before.
he has that veteran savvy
Yes,
where he can find spots because he's not the Juju from back with the Steelers when people thought he might have been a number one. He never was, but
yeah,
he's not that cat. But he has enough skill to benefit. And like I said, he has the connection already with Mahomes. Uh,
yes,
it's gonna be Worthy and Juju, the two you can rely on. They just find ways to get Worthy involved because of his speed. They had him.
speed,
He
yeah,
ran in for he did a run, and this is I think the second touchdown he's run for this season.
yeah.
But Juju is another guy you can count on.
I
Another
mean, I like Juju, and I think
you
I
love
picked up
Juju, you just
Juju.
don't want to
In
admit it.
it. No, I don't. I always my thing with Juju was never a number one
No,
receiver.
I agree
He
with you
was
there.
he was like even in Pittsburgh, he was being benefited by
Yeah,
playing with another great receiver on the other end. And when that receiver left, he then
yeah,
went downhill from there. And
quickly.
then that's when everything didn't work for him.
Man, look. This is still the cat who couldn't make the team with the Patriots, and they wide receiver room is terrible. So
Yes.
I'm with you. Juju's not great, but Juju's really good in spots, and I think he's set up to look good. He ain't gonna have the production that he had this week every week. So don't grab him thinking you're gonna get
Well,
that. But you've got a guy that can get you maybe if you get 10 to 12 points a week from him, you're doing well.
are you? But can you get? I ain't saying 7 receptions, 130. That's
Yeah,
you're
that's
not
crazy
getting that
talk.
every week. But are you getting 7 to 9 targets? Well, receptions from Juju being
Receptions,
Rashid.
no. I think you can
Re,
probably rely on about, I would say, between 5 and 7 targets. How many of those turn into receptions? Yeah, that's a. I mean, as long as Rasheed Rice is out, they're gonna have to.
I mean, yes, they're going to have to, yes. But Rashid Rice is out for the season. They
Yeah,
already said that. He's done for the
yeah.
year. So some is either Worthy or Juju at this point now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at some point you got to say Juju may get about 6 targets. He might get 6 receptions, 7 receptions a game. It might not turn to 130, but it could turn
No,
to
if it
80,
turns to
90
like, yeah,
yards and
exactly.
a touchdown.
I
I mean,
think
it could
that's
turn to
fair.
that. But yeah, and
But
that to me, that's fair for a
but
guy like him.
yeah. By the way, our man Jamal, let's chime in. The guy who loves the rookies, by the way, says the wide receivers for the Patriots aren't that bad. They're
Okay.
not that
They're
bad,
not
but
that
they're not
bad, but the
that
quarterback
good
situation is.
either. I would
Yeah.
say they're not that good yet. Let me clarify that because I think
Yeah.
they also. I picked up both. You talk about Polk and Baker. I have both of them on my fantasy football teams, and I'm just waiting for them to have a step up from what we're seeing, and they're switching to
The
Drake
quarterback.
May. He's gonna have
Yeah.
his first, so we might see maybe some improvement with that. We'll have to wait and see.
I mean,
Uh,
I drafted
yeah,
what Pork or Javon Baker, one of them in Dynasty. So I
yeah.
think they're gonna be
I
good.
think you have Baker in Dynasty, if
I
I
think it's
remember
Baker.
correctly.
They're
Yeah.
gonna be good. It's just right now, I think New England as a whole team is
No.
bad.
Yeah.
And that's the offensive
That
line.
that that
That's why they didn't
offense is
want Drake
not
May out
something you
there.
can rely on right now. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why they was worried about, and I think they kind of was their hand was forced to go to Drake May
Yeah.
because they had to. But if you asking me, did they really want to go to Drake May? I would tell you no.
They would have
Because that
started him
offense,
at the
yeah, they would have
beginning of the
started
season
from
if
day
they
one.
wanted to. Right.
Because that offensive line is so bad, they didn't want to put him out there risking injury. But now they have really no choice but to play him because they're
Yeah.
watching these other rookie quarterbacks with obviously bad lines too.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, Denver still kind of get work done, and they just got to see what they got. Now, if I'm them, I'm with Jamal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting. I'm starting both of them. I'm starting Baker and Pope. For real talk.
Right now, or you mean
Yes. If
okay?
you're telling me, okay, what is the other choices in New England right now receiving?
Oh, you
Outside
mean?
the
I mean, I thought you meant. I'm talking about. Are you starting them on your fantasy
oh
teams right
no
now, or
no
you
no.
just
I'm
mean
talking
the?
about in real life.
Oh yeah, okay.
In real life, I'm
I'm with
starting
you there.
them in
I
real
was like,
life.
who
No
are
no no
you, and what did you do with my co-host Rodney? Because I don't even
no
understand what's happening right
no no
now.
no. You know I don't work like that.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, if I'm New England, I'm starting both of those rookie receivers to grow
Oh
with
yeah.
Drake May. At this point, you
Yeah.
have no choice. There's no need to put these other guys out there and say, all right, look, because those are two guys that's going to be there at least for the next 2 years with Drake May.
Yeah.
Now these other guys are not going to be there. You got to play those two guys and let them learn on the fly. Yeah,
Which,
they're going to lose games, obviously,
mm-hmm.
but let them learn on the fly. For
Which is
me,
why
yeah.
I think Juju didn't make that team because they had that same mentality. Like we can have Juju here, or we can develop these guys for their future. And
Yeah, I
in
would say
real
I say
football,
playing.
yeah, you go with that.
You play.
And
Yeah.
basically going back to Juju, ATL, flag football points out. Basically, what we say, he's a system guy, and so he
Yeah.
works well as a three. As long as he's not your one, he's a good guy. While we're on wide receivers, you missed another rookie that turned it on this week, Brian Thomas Jr.
Everybody could make my list now. You know,
Hey,
it's a good
well,
list.
that's why we both are here. So who's not on your list to get on mine? 122 yards and a touchdown. Like you said, Trevor Lawrence finally looked good,
Yes.
and Brian Thomas Jr. is the one that's benefited from it. So
Yes.
I hope hopefully he can keep that going. Welcome Justin to the show. Giving you a little bit of grief on your 49ers, maybe.
We already talked about that. You know how I feel about that.
Yeah,
One thing about it, I'm the number one. I guess I'm a hater of my
yeah.
own team, but I just keep it real, you know?
Now we mentioned some players that were hot. Here's someone that maybe is not. At least wasn't this. Hasn't been as of late. Marvin Harrison Jr. The question comes in. My mom asked it about him. We had a conversation on what to do with Harrison. She has a team of solid wide receivers, and trying to find if you can't put in the chat who those receivers are, and who to go with. But Harrison, do you think it's just
I
a
think
problem with Kyler Murray and the offense, or will he bounce back?
Kyler Murray, I mean, he said it out his own mouth. He said it's not my place to get him involved.
Yeah.
That came from Kyler Murray himself. Now, I disagree with that because if you're Kyler Murray, you want to get your best receiver involved,
Yeah.
no matter what. So you want to at least give him a shot to
Mm-hmm.
because he's a guy that's tall. He's tall. He's lengthy. He can get up there and catch the football. So it's like he pretty much has give him the 50-50 shot every time. Because if you give him the 50-50 shot every time, I promise you he may come down with it most of the time anyway. So for me, it's on Kyler Murray to
Yeah.
get him the ball. For me, I don't believe the fact that he's saying, "Look, it's not my job to get him involved. He has to get open." No, you have to make him open because if you think about all these other teams, CeeDee Lamb is never open. CeeDee Lamb is forced open. There's a difference.
Always open.
Well, you know what I mean. He's
Yeah.
open no matter what,
Yeah.
but he's either double teamed, tightly covered. He finds a way, and Dak does a good job of finding a way to get him the ball, which other teams does the same thing with their receivers, especially number one. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
down on Marvin Harrison. I think it's more of Kyler has to get him involved. Just think about the play that they ran against us last week when it was 4th and 2, and Kyler
Yeah.
Murray just threw the ball up, a 50-50 ball, and Marvin Harrison went up and got it because he was bigger, he was taller.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. That's how you got to work it.
You gotta
He's
have,
getting one-on-one coverage.
and I'm gonna give Kyler Murray a little pass on this, in as much as that's the kind of trust that it takes a while for quarterbacks and wide receivers to develop with each other, and maybe they just aren't quite there yet. But yeah, you gotta give your guy a shot, and then you can find out what he's capable of. So
Mm-hmm.
I would think that's not gonna be the typical production you get. So I mainly will stick with him, but I will say the list of wide receivers she has, you might consider benching him. I don't know how she managed it in that draft, but she has all the wide receivers on that team. Justin said he's 2-3.
Mm-hmm.
Put up 142 last week, not bad. Um, this week he's projected to lose. He has Jalen Hurts, Ramondre Stevenson, Rico Dowell, AJ Brown coming back.
Yeah.
Um, Ontavian Wicks, another guy who disappointed a lot of people
Yes.
that went to pick him up. Kraft, tight end for the
Tight end for
Packers,
Green Bay.
who
Yeah.
produced
Yes.
for the last 2 weeks. He got Tobert from the Cowboys, the Bills defense, and going against Kyler, who we've been talking about, Brees Hall, who's done nothing for me. Mason, your guy, Olave,
Mm-hmm.
who's done nothing for me. Thomas Jr., who we just talked about. Ferguson, Jacobs, and the Chargers defense special teams. What do you think about that matchup?
I don't see how he projected to lose by 10
Yeah, yeah.
because Kyler Murray.
I can see that being close,
Yeah.
but nah.
I guess my rule of thumb is I don't go off projections.
Yeah, projections will lead you astray.
Yes, they will.
They projected my teams would be good, and like I said,
So
I'm gonna win 5 in one league.
I don't go off projections. I go off of, I mean, obviously matchups, but you go off what a player has been doing. Because somehow like a Brees Hall may be projected to put up a lot of points, but Brees
Mm-hmm.
Hall hasn't put up a lot of points.
Yeah,
So that's why he's probably projected to lose by 10 because of probably the Brees Halls in the Mason. And Olave is probably another one
yeah,
that's got a high projection. But Olave playing with a rookie quarterback this week.
yeah. We mentioned AOC taking over. Spencer Rattler is going to be taking over for a while.
Yeah.
What do you think that means about Hill, Taysom Hill?
Taysom Hill hurt.
Oh, like hurt? Oh, okay. I thought he
I
was.
think he's hurt enough not to play.
Okay.
But for me, you don't. To me, you don't start Taysom Hill at quarterback.
Yeah.
I think that whole is
more so. I was wondering, do you think they involve him more because they didn't really do a lot of that with Derek Carr? But if he's not going to be playing, then I guess it's another factor.
honestly, even if he was playing, right? Just say he was playing. I feel like that takes away from the actual quarterback on the field.
Oh, it definitely does.
Because when you move him in and out, when you moving Taysom Hill in and the quarterback out, Taysom Hill in, it's just too much. It throws the quarterback off of rhythm, and they're not in, and they take him out at the wrong time. They take them out when they're driving down the field and they get to the 20-yard line and they want to bring in Taysom Hill. It's like, why would you do that? It's like he's in a rhythm. He's already in a good rhythm driving down the field and you want to pull him. And then you got to bring him back in to get back in rhythm. It makes no sense to do that. So even if he was playing, I think it is a bad idea. I've been saying it's been a bad idea with Taysom Hill because they've been doing it for so long like that. It just doesn't work. But Taysom Hill is injured, I think, so I don't think he's playing anyway. So
yeah, he has a. I'm looking. He has a issue with his ribs.
yeah,
Hasn't been practicing yet, so we'll see whether they bring him in, whether he one plays this week and two for the time that Derek Carr with. I'm with you on the usage of him. I was just thinking with a rookie, maybe they do a little sprinkle him in a little bit more when he's healthy.
my only concern with this is because from the offseason, they've been high on Spencer Rattler.
Yeah,
They've been talking high on him as far as he could be the future quarterback for the Saints. Now, the question for everybody is, what if Spencer Rattler go out there and they win the next two games and he looks not awesome, but he looks good?
Did you say if he looks like Justin Fields, and then
No,
they
no,
have Russ? Then they have Russell
no.
Wilson, aka Derek Carr, sitting on the sideline for the rest of the season until he's healthy.
No, I'm saying, what if he go out there and he do 275 and 2 touchdowns and the Saints win games, right?
Justin Fields.
So, but what if that's the case and he's being that guy and he's really good? Not saying Derek Carr's finished, but if they're looking towards the future and they're saying, look, he's the future, man. Maybe, maybe.
For me, if you feel like he's the future and he's playing with, I was serious when I said Justin Fields. Russell Wilson's supposed to be the starter, but if you're winning with Justin Fields, you roll with it. And it's not like Derek Carr has lit up the NFL. So it's you put in Spencer Rattler and it's working out, and you believe he can be the future. Then you tell Derek Carr, hold his clipboard, and we're gonna see how this thing goes.
Well, I mean, yeah, but we've seen that before with Derek Carr.
Yeah.
And when he was with the Raiders and he got benched, Derek Carr went home.
Yeah.
He said, I don't even want to be in the building.
That was kind of mutual though. He wanted to go, and the coaches were like, all right, cool. We don't really want you here. I don't know if that situation develops again. It's hard to say. I don't know. I will say his ego's going to be hurt if he gets benched.
Of course.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. But because I think if you want to throw the money in there, I think they're paying them quite a bit of money.
They're paying them a good amount of money, but the contract is written that they can get out of that one. It's not one of those things that they're bound to. It's not like Deshaun Watson in Cleveland where they just
his cap is $73 million next year. Yeah.
Let's hit some more questions. So getting back to the actual question from Justin, I think you have a good shot at winning that.
Yeah, I think you should win this one. I think
it might be
honestly,
close, especially if Ramondre has another game like he did this past week. We'll see what Jalen Hurts looks like coming out of the bye week with AJ Brown healthy again. I think you can put up some points with that roster.
Torba is another one. I think he's going to be it too.
What do you think about Javonte Williams versus Travis Etienne? Who do you like this week between those two?
I've never been a fan of Javonte Williams, bro.
He's been lighting up the last 2 weeks, though.
He has.
Yeah.
But I feel like Trevor Lawrence is starting to get his footing a little bit because we didn't think Trevor Lawrence was going to be good this last week, but he turned it up and he started to look. I don't know what it was. They might have had a good week of practice or something, but he looked good.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to go with the guys that I think are better, and I think Travis Etienne is a better running back than Javonte Williams.
Okay.
So I would say Travis Etienne myself. But Javonte has been playing well, but I'm gonna roll with Travis because I feel like Jacksonville started to put it. It's one game, but I feel like just that all it takes is one to have some type of confidence to try to get you to boost the morale around there. So I'm gonna go with Travis on this one. For me,
I'll go with the typical responses. You go with your stud guys, and
Yeah,
I'm
that's
100%
me
certain that you drafted Travis Etienne way ahead of
first.
Javonte Williams.
Williams, yep.
I will say, the Broncos offense is, we talked about rookies doing their thing. That's the main topic for tonight. Bo
Hmm.
Nix is starting to look pretty good.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan coming out, but he's looking good now. Granted, it was against the Raiders, who are looking abysmal right now,
Hmm.
and it's getting back to the starter running back against the Raiders if you have one. And Javonte Williams definitely proved that last
Oh
week, running
gosh.
all over the supposedly great defense that the Raiders supposedly had. They don't, apparently. Um, I think both of these running backs have tougher challenges this week. Javonte Williams is going to be going against the Chargers defense, and Etienne, they're playing the Bears.
Okay.
Um, if I'm gonna pick from if, like I said, go with your guy. I think Travis Etienne is the better pick. But despite what the coach is saying, I think there's something to this big Tank Bigsby thing,
I don't,
where he's
man.
going to start getting some more carries. But don't bet on it this week.
I
I'm
don't. I
with you.
don't trust that, man. I
Tra-
feel like ETN is, and I feel like they can run Bixby
yeah,
and ETN because I feel like they can run ETN as a slot
yeah.
receiver. They can put him at receiver. They can
Yeah,
they
he
can
can do
move
a
him
lot.
around. Yeah, they can.
And
They,
that's why I liked Tank Bigsby a year ago, when it was before it was fashionable. Um, Travis Etienne, you can move all around the place and still
yes.
have room to put Tank Bigsby on the field. They can coexist together and both get some
See,
sort
but
of
I
action.
think the problem was I think because Trevor Lawrence wasn't playing really well or playing good,
Mm-hmm.
that they threw eight in the box and they just said we're gonna beat
Yeah,
you and we're gonna make you beat us at eight in the box with Trevor. But ETN couldn't get going because Trevor Lawrence couldn't get going. Now, if Trevor Lawrence can keep up what he was doing last week, then it can open up a lot more for ETN
okay.
going forward. Now, I think that was the main
Yeah,
problem because Trevor Lawrence was throwing for 100 and something
yeah.
yards. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, what you gonna do if he's not running, if he's not passing the ball good, then they're gonna run the ball to try to get going. So at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I don't. I think that's the big part of it.
Yeah.
I would go with Kravitz because
The offense looked bad. Now it looked good. So as
yes,
long as that offense is looking good, Travis Etienne is the surer bet. But keep your
yes,
eyes on Tank Bigsby.
yeah,
Not just
yeah.
because of that, but also Etienne has a little shoulder issue, but I don't think it's really serious
Nah,
at
I
this
think he's
point.
gonna play. Yeah,
Let's go. Ramondre
Justin
Stevenson is questionable this week. Thinking about putting
Chuba Hubbard,
Chuba Hubbard in his place. What do you think about Hubbard
love it,
over Stevenson?
love it.
You love it?
I've been playing Chuba Hubbard every week for the last three
Yeah,
weeks.
he
He's been playing really good football and
yeah.
he's receiving and he's running. And even with Andy Dalton back there, he looks even better. So I would play him over Ramondre Stevenson anyway, just because he's gonna get more opportunities than Ramondre Stevenson because they're already saying that Ramondre is not going to get a bunch of touches anyway because he fumbles too much.
Well, they
So,
said that a week
but if
ago.
yeah,
Yeah,
but Chuba's been
but
playing really good the last 3 weeks. I would definitely go Chuba.
I think
Definitely.
it's definitely worth a shot to try because I mean I think both of them overall would be good. I
Hmm.
don't think there'll be huge difference, but yeah, I have no problem with starting Hubbard as well. So, Justin wants Russell Wilson to go to Las Vegas. I'm gonna say no to that one. Uh, yeah, no,
I'm gonna
no,
say no to that one.
we've seen the best of Russell Wilson. Let him sit there in Pittsburgh, who, by the way, play the Raiders this week. So Russell Wilson will get a chance to come to Vegas and see what things look like. Hey, maybe Sierra could get a residency there, and they can make it to home. But that's not my
Vegas.
choice.
Wow.
Will the Raiders look good this week against? Here I was talking with our producer about the Raiders. The Raiders are frustrating to me because the games I think they should win easily, they get trounced like last week against Denver, and then against the Panthers. But then games that they should probably lose, in my opinion, those are the ones that win. So I'm with you, Angelo. I think the Raiders are going to look good this weekend for no reason at all. So I don't know. I said I'm done trying to figure the Raiders out. I hate their guts. The
God.
third man, he had a comment earlier that we didn't
Yeah, but it
understand.
disappeared.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
saying they're disappearing. So what do you think about this trade, giving Kirk Cousins and T. Higgins and getting first ballot Hall of Famer? I got to correct you, Shaq. You just put Hall of Famer. It's first ballot Hall of Famer Mike Evans and Geno Smith. He already has. That's what he was talking about. Jerron Baker earlier. He has Baker and Jaden as his. Oh no, that's Baker Mayfield. He has Baker Mayfield and Jaden Daniels as his quarterbacks, and the Pickens was the comment from before.
Oh, that's
George
one
Pickens as his other wide receiver.
Yeah.
What do you think of that trade?
So he's selling high on Kirk Cousins after that.
Selling high on Kirk Cousins.
Okay. For his sake, I think he wants Mike Evans.
Why wouldn't you want first ballot Hall of Famer Mike Evans?
I'm not saying you don't want him.
Yeah.
I would do the trade because the way Geno is playing right now.
Geno was lights. I made a trade for Geno Smith in a dynasty league, and I was very on the fence when I made it. I am rejoicing at the way it's working out for me.
I would take that trade because now we know Kirk is going to be Kirk. Kirk Cousins is good, so we're not going to take that away from him. But are we going to see another? We're not going to see another 500-yard game from Kirk Cousins. We might do a 300.
I don't know. Plus. Do they have another primetime game? Because Kirk Cousins in the primetime. I got to go look at the schedule. They got another Monday night, Thursday night, some sort of game.
I don't know, but
Sunday night.
You sell high now. You better sell high on Kirk Cousins now. I'm just saying, like, go to sell high. And then he said he got Baker and Jayden already. So if you're getting Baker and Mike Evans, that combo for points, I think that works. And if you're getting Baker, you have Baker and Geno.
You already have Baker
and Jayden. Yeah, I think that's 3 good quarterbacks.
I say this. I think I would prefer to have the combination of Kirk Cousins and T. Higgins because T. Higgins is looking pretty decent.
But still,
but because you have these other guys, I'm not so sure. Geno Smith is hot right now, but I'm not so sure I don't want to pass the keys to a Baker or a Jaden, depending on how it's going. So you're good at quarterback right now, and Geno makes it even better. So no, I think I do. I'm with you. I think I end up doing this trade just because of who you have. With the players you already have on that roster.
Yeah,
I'm doing
that in a heartbeat. I'm hitting the send. I'm hitting the send button. Let's go because you getting Geno is. Well, how people think about Geno. Geno is throwing the football.
And typically, once he gets the ball rolled, you can tell what Geno's going to be.
Yeah.
So on the years he's going to be good, he's just good. And the years he's bad, he doesn't go up and down like some guys do. So,
but the thing with
Geno this year.
The thing with Geno is they gave him control of the offense this year. So he's making audibles, changes, audibles, everything on the offense now, so he's looking at it a whole different way.
Yeah.
So he's audible out of run plays and going to passing plays, and that's why, like, just go back and watch the game from not this week, but week before last. Man, he went off, man, because he.
So let's get you on the record. Is Geno gonna beat the 49ers this week?
Is Geno going to beat the 49ers this week? AJ, let's see.
49ers are 3.5-point favorites.
I'm going to say yes.
Ooh. I will say you've been the purveyor of doom for your team, but you've been right every time.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. Because I called it now. You can call me that, but you're right. I have been right. I called the Rams game.
Yeah.
I'm calling this one, and I'm gonna call this one because our secondary stinks.
Mm-hmm.
We can't cover nobody, like real talk, and we need to try to get Robert back over there as defensive coordinator ASAP. I just feel like it's gonna be a defensive struggle because right now our defense ain't playing well.
Yeah,
I feel like they beat us, and I feel like for me with division games, you throw records out and you just go because they know each other well. And I think now what people don't understand is this: the head coach of the Seattle, and I told you this on the phone yesterday.
Uh-huh.
The head coach of the Seattle Seahawks is the
Right.
same defensive coordinator from last year who was with the Ravens, where he caused us to throw 6 interceptions last year. Now, it's not the same personnel,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the same defense. And they don't have, like, they got good corners and safeties in Seattle. So it's possible that they can run that same defense and be successful against us. So I'm thinking and he knows he did this against Purdy last year. So if he does this year with Seattle, he's in a division. We play him twice a year now. I don't know, man. I got Seattle winning this, man. I do.
I say one thing for certain. We've talked about Thursday night games being bad. They've
I don't
given us
think.
some really good Thursday night games this year. So,
Yes.
hey, shout out to Jeff Bezos. He's like, I'm putting this Amazon Prime money out there. I want good stuff. And
I
so
want good stuff.
that game should be good tomorrow.
Jamal, I disagree with you, Jamal.
Yeah.
It's just because you playing angry don't mean, to me that don't mean nothing. Because I feel like if you're just I'm a big guy on karma and how you treat people and how you do things in life. And I feel like a lot of that stuff is coming back on us and I think we're a little long in the tooth. I talked about it earlier. We're a little long in the tooth. We're a little old. And I think the JSNs and, those receivers, they're going to get open. DK, you know how DK do. DK a big guy. So, and I feel like our defensive coordinator is just not good this year, honestly.
Well, let me get your opinion. This is welcome MP17 to the show. Ashes, you have to sit one of these: David Montgomery, Jordan Mason, James Conner, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, or T Higgins. Wow,
Jeez,
you got to sit one of these.
You got to sit one of these guys.
That's a whole starting lineup.
You ain't lying.
Who do you sit out of that bunch? That's a tough one.
I'm gonna go in order of sitting first. So let's play. Let's do it this way. First, I'm gonna sit. Oh gosh, man. Ooh, that's a tough one here, man. MP17, man, you ain't had to do this to us, man. Lord, but we're gonna get you. We're gonna get you right though.
Yeah. Let's think about it.
Woo. Everybody playing good.
Everybody's playing good in that group.
Everybody playing good. First, I'm gonna go Connor first. I'm gonna go Connor. Yeah, they play.
I want to say, every time we talk bad about James Conner, it comes back to bite us.
They play Atlanta, right?
Yeah. They're at Green Bay.
They play Green Bay. Green Bay got a pretty good defense. I'm gonna sit Connor.
Green Bay's defense has been good.
I'm gonna sit Connor. That's one.
Well, you only have to pick one.
No. I'm just going in order.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick one. I'm gonna get to my guy. Connor's. He got to sit.
Okay.
Man, this is tough. Woo. Go ahead, man. I gotta think, man. I don't know, man. This is tough. Lord have mercy.
I tell you like this, and it hurts my heart to say it out loud, because if you've been watching the show for a while, you know I'm a Monty fan. I love David Montgomery.
You don't sit Monty though.
I love him to death, but I'm looking at this list.
You don't sit Monty, bro.
Look, I'm calling my commissioner and saying we need to add another flex spot so I can get all these guys in. But I'm split between saying I don't want to speak ill of James Conner just because every time I've done it, I've looked like an idiot. So I'm gonna give James Conner the pass, even though I kind of like that one. But I'm done speaking bad about him.
You don't sit Monty, bro. You don't. You don't, bro.
I don't want to.
I'm going to tell you why you don't.
Okay.
Tell you why you don't. Because they play Dallas. And Dallas' run defense is completely horrible.
Yeah, but the reason I was thinking Monty is because, unlike everyone else, he has a counter.
That don't matter.
But the crazy part is they both
get work
on a regular basis.
That don't matter with that.
So
That
between him and Gibbs, but I was thinking him or maybe Higgins, uh, only because there's regression, and Jamar Chase and T Higgins had great games. You can probably guess Joe Burrow's not gonna have the same kind of game that he did a week ago.
they play the Giants.
Yeah. Do you need to pass that much on the? I mean,
I mean, you
you're gonna
don't.
be ahead. You're gonna be ahead playing the Giants, and that's
That's
why I said this.
true.
There's not gonna be a need for him to have that kind of game, like he did. This is
All right,
tough because all these
I
players. I say like this: all of these players are so good. Even if you can't really make a bad decision because everyone's good. Hey, third man, earn your money. Throw in your opinion on this one.
please, yeah. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say Connor
Okay.
sit. I'm gonna say Mason sit because Mason he's fumbled twice the last two games. He had 14
Okay.
carries last week, and I think we're trying to be a pass happy team going
That's.
forward. I think we ran the
I want
ball
to be on
once.
the record and say that's dangerous, but go ahead.
That's not dangerous. That's
No,
just pure
that's
facts.
dangerous.
No, we ran the ball the first nine possessions of last
The,
game. We threw the ball 8 times.
true or false? We say that Brock Purdy is a system quarterback, and you need to make sure he's in the system to be successful.
I get what you're
Are
saying.
you
And I
putting a
get
whole lot on him?
no,
Seems
but
like
I get what
a
you're
bad
saying.
direction. Yeah.
I get what you're saying, and I understand it. But I'm telling you, the game flow of how we've been playing these last 3 or 4 games is pass, and then
All right.
run. Mason is getting his, but Mason only had 14 carries last
Yeah.
week.
He's coming off a bad game, which makes me think he should have a better game ahead of him.
I'm gonna say Monty, you
You
start.
just told me not to sit
No, you
Monty.
said no. I said I'm not sitting Monty. I
Oh,
said
okay.
play Monty.
Oh, you're playing
I'm
Monty.
saying
Okay.
I'm playing Monty just because they play the Cowboys for one. It's gonna be kind of a shootout in a sense
It should
because
be.
Dallas always playing from behind. And Monty, one thing about Detroit, they don't
Mm-hmm.
interchange the running backs. They give each
They
one of
give
them a
him.
series.
We talked about that a lot last week.
So
Mm-hmm.
Monty's gonna get a series or two, just like Gibbs is gonna get a series or two. I would go Monty just because Monty's gonna get his. They want to run the football.
Okay.
Plain and simple. That's what they want to do. So Monty is gonna get his. I think Monty is the one you play. In secondary for me, it would probably be DJ Moore. Because DJ Moore and I
Okay.
like DK. I do like DK. DK's been having a wonderful season.
Mm-hmm.
But DJ Moore these last 2 games, bro, has been crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Monty first, and I give you 2 options: Monty, and then DJ Moore. That's who I would say pick between those two.
But you're saying to play, or you saying
Yes,
to
to
sit?
play. I'm saying to
Yeah. I
play.
mean, but the question is who are you sitting
I mean, you
in
gotta
this group?
sit.
You could
You
only
can't. Sit.
you'll have to. You're giving me two people to play.
Yeah,
He needs one person to sit.
I can't. I'm gonna say Mason.
I could.
I'm gonna say Mason.
You brought me around. I wanted to say between Monty. I was thinking Mason as my third. I was thinking Monty Higgins and then Mason.
I'm gonna say Mason.
I'm still gonna say between Higgins and Mason, and I will defer and say Mason
I'm
is
gonna say
the
Mason
sit.
because I think about it this way.
I would say the Seattle run defense that 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 could end up being a very low scoring game.
yeah,
The over under is at 47.5.
yeah.
That's kind of high,
I'm gonna say
but
Mason just
I
because
can
I
see that one
think
maybe not being as
what
high as predicted.
think about it with Monty gonna get his.
Hmm.
Connor, they have no other running back that's running outside of Kyler. DK gonna get his.
Yeah,
DJ Moore gonna get his,
I would think
and
so.
and Higgins gonna get his. The one that out of this list that has to wait on everybody else to get theirs is Mason because Monty is the 1B, 1A, whatever you want to call it. Connor is the one.
Yeah.
at running back. DK is the one at receiver. DJ Moore
Agreed.
is the one at receiver, and T. Higgins is the 1B at receiver. So Mason is you got a Kittles, you got Debo, you got Brandon Ayuk. So he got a lot of mouths to feed in front of him in order to get going. So I would say Mason. I'm sitting Mason.
All
But
right.
you need to call your commissioner and say, look, you need to add one more spot.
All right. Thanks for the question. We've beaten ourselves. This is a tough one because all of these players are so good. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna side with you and say Mason is the pick. But I would say that's a nice decision to have.
yeah.
When you have so many talented players, you don't know which one to play, or which ones to sit. So yeah, thanks for the question. Mason is our final answer. Um, we have a go back to my earlier question on Ramondre Stevens and Hubbard. We said
Hubbard.
Hubbard earlier. I don't know if you missed it when we answered it before. But yeah, if you need more than that, Hubbard's the guy.
Yeah.
Hey, MP17, we appreciate it. I know, hey, we're struggling with it too. It's like, wow. Yeah,
Right.
that's the danger though, because you sit with all of these guys potentially could go off, but
Yeah.
the one you sit will go off. Hey, that's what I had last week when I set Kirk Cousins because Geno Smith was playing so well. I had Kirk Cousins, Caleb Williams, and Geno Smith on this team. All three of them did well, but none of them did as well as Kirk Cousins, which is of course the one I benched, thinking he had the least chance of doing well. So you one thing for certain is you're gonna whatever you guess, you're always wrong. That's been
Yeah.
my rule of thumb. So what can
Again,
you do?
again,
The
call
fantasy
your
gods.
commissioner. You
Hopefully,
need
the
to add
fantasy
another
gods
spot.
are in your favor.
Yes. Woo. 'Cause that's a
But
tough one there, boy. I ain't gonna lie
that's a
about that
real
one.
tough one.
That was a tough one there.
So hopefully, even if you don't have the right guy benched, everyone else does enough that it won't matter. Because the object of fantasy football is scoring more points than your opponent, and you got some players on this roster that's going to put up some points. So, hey, best of luck to you. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Hit like, by the way, hit subscribe, everybody, if you haven't already done it. We appreciate it. We were talking rookies. We were talking news and players. Where do we leave off? Or where do we go next?
I did want to shout out one player, your guy, Brock Bowers.
Oh, yeah, we didn't do tight ends.
Tight ends. I did want to shout him out.
Brock
he
Bowers, by the way,
is going to be good.
Whew.
He's telling you. They just got to, I don't know what Aiden O'Connell going to do with him, but I think he's.
No matter who it is, they're going to feed, especially with Devontae Adams out.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers is turning out to be the Sam Laporta of last year. By the way, where is the Sam Laporta for this year? I don't know. Has that gone well?
Yeah,
But
you don't know.
Brock Bowers is going to be that guy. And as long as Devontae Adams has his hamstring issue, Brock Bowers is the best player on that offense right now. And I look, no matter who the quarterback is, they're going to feed him. Carla has a question. Daniel Jones or Josh Allen?
Gosh.
Josh Allen. Hey, look. That MP17 question was the hardest you ever have. This was the easiest. Josh Allen all day.
I'm gonna have to go against you on that one, bro.
No, sir.
Yes, sir. And I don't do this. I don't do this.
Hold up.
much.
Before you go to how wrong you are on this, I want to shout out somebody in our Dynasty League who loved what Andy Dalton was doing and decided to bench Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, you're right about that.
In order to put Andy Dalton in the starting lineup. I repeat that in case you weren't listening or you think I'm on drugs and I said something crazy. It is crazy, but I'm not the one that's on drugs. Someone sat Patrick Mahomes in order to play Andy freaking Dalton. Now, getting to the question that Carla's asking, Josh Allen has had some bad games. I'm not going to lie to you. He's been, like you said, we said earlier, Josh Allen is doing too much because he has to do everything in the absence of a really good offense. But there's no way in the world I would ever sit Josh Allen in order to put Daniel Jones in my starting lineup.
Yeah,
you can't make me do it.
I had a brain freeze there. Don't worry about me because I'm just thinking about Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, I have to because he's
been playing better than I thought he would. And I
Yes,
think a
he
lot of that
has.
goes to Malik Neighbors, but not just him. But what do
But
you got?
Malik, he won't there
Yeah,
last
he
week.
wasn't there last week. I'm just saying overall this season, Daniel Jones
Yeah.
has been playing really well, and I
I mean,
think
you got to
Malik
go
Neighbors
Josh
is
Allen.
some
You
of
got to
that
go
reason.
Josh Allen. So
Yeah,
yeah, I would say Josh Allen. So yeah.
I say this: if there's a reason to be concerned, I'm interested to see what we talked about the Jets firing Salah earlier in the show. Uh, this will be the first game since then. How good is that team going to look? Speaking of the Jets, that is, how will that team, especially since you said that they're going to make the defense coordinator
Coordinator.
the
Yep.
interim,
Yep.
how do they respond? Does that defense step it up to support their guy and give Buffalo a run for their money? That's the chance you it could happen. Um, if there's another reason for starting Daniel Jones over Josh Allen, which again there isn't, they're
Is
gonna have to
not.
throw the ball a lot playing against Cincinnati. Um, so that has the potential to be a high scoring game. I just don't trust. I'm never gonna trust Daniel Jones over Josh Allen. Never will.
I mean, I'm not fighting you on that.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I just feel like with the non receivers he has,
yeah, yeah.
it's hard, bro. It's
It's
so right.
very hard.
It reminds, and it's sad. You kind of lump him and Justin Herbert in the same boat kind of
Hmm.
this year because they don't have
They
the
don't
quote
have
unquote.
the cupboards are bare. Oh,
Yes, they don't have the quote unquote receivers like that, and it's like it's hard for you to say to feel comfortable,
yeah,
but you have to do it because you drafted him early,
yeah.
and that's the thing. You drafted him way earlier than you probably would have drafted Daniel Jones. Even if you drafted, I doubted you drafted Daniel
You
Jones.
might have picked
I
him up
believe you
on
picked him up.
waivers, right?
Yeah, so it's hard for you to say, you know what, I'm gonna bench him for Daniel Jones. It's hard to do that, but in the scheme of things, it's like
Yeah,
if Malik Neighbors is there, Malik Neighbors is getting 12 targets for 100 and
yeah.
some yards. You can count 12 targets at least for Malik Neighbors there. That's going to help Daniel Jones. That's hard to do, man. It's like Josh Allen ain't got nothing to throw to, man.
In
Nothing.
in the 5 games we've had this season, Josh Allen has looked really good in 3, looked bad, like really bad in the other 2.
Yes. That's
Daniel
all I'm
Jones
saying.
has been looking good lately.
And he did what
I
he did
just
what two
I,
two
I
seventy
just go
five
with the
last
law
week.
of averages. Josh Allen is better than Daniel Jones, so on average, I'm going to be right with Josh Allen. Now this week it might shoot you in the butt, and you're wrong, but that's the risk I'm willing to take because I just go. I trust myself. Look, I got an 0-5 team and that I'm playing, and I'm gonna stay the course, and I'm gonna believe that these players I have are better than the scraps I'm seeing on waivers, and I'm not gonna
Oh, of
change too
course, of
much.
course,
I might
of
make a little
course.
adjustment here. I gotta believe in myself, and so on this one, I'm gonna say I gotta believe in Josh Allen because he is when he's playing well one of the best 5, I would say, quarterbacks in the league. Daniel Jones isn't in the top 20 to me.
Yeah, I would say stick with Josh Allen. I'm just saying though, like it's hard.
It's tempting. It's tempting.
It's
Like I said,
hard
there's
because
some reasons to be tempted to go Daniel Jones, uh, but I wouldn't do it. Yeah,
I mean, because that's going against my own rules of saying play your
play your
guys that you draft.
studs.
Yeah, play your
Go with
studs.
your guys.
Yeah, it's going against my rules, but okay. But I say go Josh Allen, but I'm just saying be on the cautious end because he doesn't have
Yeah,
receivers, and that's the scary part about all of this.
I will say if you get 3 bad games from Josh Allen in a row, uh, you might say, okay, I'm gonna give Josh Allen a rest week. But
Okay, Lord,
but it's only strike 2 right now.
Lord
Speaking
God,
of strikes, I see the Royals lost. If Justin's still watching, the Yankees still suck.
Lord God.
Um, because say he hopes that Mike Tomlin leaves Vegas with Devontae Adams. Hey, if they leave a nice trade with some draft picks, I want them to get this Devontae Adams trade done as soon as possible because
So
I'm
which y'all getting back? Y'all getting back quarterback?
I hope they get a potential player, depending on who that is, and at
Y'all get
least
back Russ?
a
You get back Russ?
second round draft pick,
You get back
and
Russ? And Russ? You get back Russ?
hey, caller, thank you for asking the question. Let's go back to the comments.
Yeah,
Willie Do also has a comment up here. This is a 12-man team. Running backs are Brees Hall, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, Braylon Allen, Tyler Algier, and Bucky Irvin. Did you get rid of Rashad White for Josh Downs? With Nico out, he only has Higgins and Addison.
Yeah.
Come by. What do you think of that?
I would, but I
You
would
pick up
do.
Josh Downs with. I would say, do we have confirmation once again that Anthony Richardson's still out and
we don't
Joe
know yet.
Flacco's gonna be the guy?
They haven't said anything.
Yeah,
That's the only thing with Josh Downs is it
yeah.
depends on who's at quarterback. Is it any other receiver that's out there you're willing to trade for other than Josh Downs? Because he's dependent so much on Flacco being there outside of Anthony Richardson because he brings all the receiving cores down, to be honest with you. So, but I would try to shoot for another because he got good running backs.
Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with and Willie Do. I don't know how much. I'm big on. I was talking Bucky Irvin weeks ago. So getting rid of Rashad for me is a easy thing. The question is with Downs. I like to believe that Joe Flacco's going to play another week because I don't know how much you've been watching. My co-host has picked Anthony Richardson to have a phenomenal season in our bold prediction show, and that usually is the kiss of death, which means Anthony Richardson may never play football again.
That's not true.
We'll see how that goes.
Not true. It's not true. But I don't believe that. That's not true. That is not true.
It's kind of true.
It's not true.
Look. It's based on a true story. There you go. How about that?
I'll tell you this. If Anthony Richardson is 95% healthy, he's going to start over Joe Flacco because they invested so much into him. So he's going to start. But Anthony Richardson got to play better. Flacco is showing that he's the better quarterback now for those receivers.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason you trade for Downs, because if they say Flacco is starting the next 3 games or 4 games or whatever, then yes, you trade for him until Nico comes back. But I would at least have a backup option to trade for. I think Rashad White is going to get better. I think Bucky's still going to get his shares.
I think they're going to both get touches in it.
I would try to ship out Tyler Algier, though, if it was me.
I've actually been impressed with how they're trying to keep Algier involved in the offense, because last year, it seemed like a lot of times Algier would be an afterthought. He had a couple of games, but they've been trying to keep him regularly in. If I had to pick between Rashad White and Algier,
I would say Algier. I would trade him first because I would want to keep Bucky and Rashad White because both of them are playing, and you can play both of them if you need, especially coming bye weeks now. You can play both of them, one as your running back, one as your flex, and you'll still get pretty good production from both because they're getting about 10 to 15 carries, between 10 to 12 carries a piece per game. So both of them. The thing with Algier, he's not getting a bunch of carries, but I would keep Bucky. I would do Algier. I wouldn't do White, to be honest. Braylon Allen, I would keep him just as a handcuff if Brees Hall get hurt, because
don't put that evil out there in the atmosphere.
No, I'm not saying
Brees Hall isn't getting hurt.
I got Brees Hall. What are you talking about?
But you said it out loud. You never say it out loud. What are you doing?
I don't want none of that smoke. I'm just saying. Just saying I would keep Braylon Allen there just because.
Shut your mouth on Brees Hall injuries.
Let me tell you something. I got Brees Hall and Braylon Allen on one team. I keep both of them. I don't know what you're talking about. Stash them away for real.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see the benefit of doing that. So I'm with you there. Thanks for the question. Appreciate it. Hope it works out for you. Akar said she's gonna stick with Josh Allen. So good call. We got some good games coming up. Any of them other than, of course, your 49ers Seahawks game tomorrow that have you particularly interested? And there is only one right answer for this question, by the way.
How's it one right answer? Don't
This
don't tell me it's a Pittsburgh and
No, that's
Raiders
not it.
game.
No,
I'm
that's
about
not
to
it.
say, ooh,
No,
time.
that is
It's
not the
only
right answer. You should
it's
get
on
the right answer because it involves someone you love very dearly.
someone I love very dearly. A player?
Yes. Who
Ooh.
made your bold prediction list?
The Washington game.
There you go.
That game. Ah,
That
I'm thinking
Washington Commander. We've been talking how these rookies are shining.
that's the test
Jada
though. That's
Daniels
the
had a
test one.
sort of normal game this past week, but he's still been playing lights out this year, and they're going to be playing against the Baltimore Ravens.
That's the
Yo,
test for him.
that
That's the
that should
test
be a
for him.
test for him, but that should be a fantasy football lover's dream right there. I think the over under is like 52.5 points on that
Well,
game.
it's actually two games. It's
Yeah,
that
okay.
game and it's
That's
the Dallas game. That Dallas Detroit game. I think that game is going to be a
I think that's
shootout.
you're right. That
So
should be a
yeah,
really good one as well.
yeah, that's going to be a shootout. So I think those two games are the two games of the week.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
In fact, they have the same over under. They're both at 52.5 points. So a lot
yeah,
of points to be had, which goes back to, again, why you probably don't bench David Montgomery. So
yeah. That's why I said
there's
David
a lot
Montgomery
of
is.
points in there. I
I,
dig
I'm
it.
starting. David Montgomery don't lead the lineup. What are you talking about, Cap? No sir.
Yeah.
Not the way he be running. He run like his life on the line, boy. I'm trying to tell you. He run hard. Like this is my last time I'm gonna touch the football.
Oh, yeah.
David Montgomery is definitely that guy. But I like the way they use both of them. So both of them still get that work. So it don't matter. So I'm with it. So yeah. Whew.
All right.
That's it.
That's it. All right.
That's all I got.
Well, that's all I got too. Hey, week 6 is upon us. Hopefully, you guys are doing well with your team so far. And if you're not, if you're like me, and you have one team that's 0-5, looking at you every day, just not meeting expectations, I'm gonna have to fire their coach,
Well, look,
like the Jets
look,
did.
y'all. I'm trying to keep
Hopefully,
him
you can
off
turn
the.
it around.
I'm trying to keep him off the edge, y'all.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
told him it's
I'm
gonna be
on
all
the
right
edge.
today. I said,
Yeah.
look, man, that 0-5 don't look too bad. I mean, it's bad weeks, and especially in that league where he 0-5 at, a bunch of guys got quarterbacks hurt. They got players on IR, so it's still he in good hands. He should be all right.
Like I did, a couple of weeks ago, our third man said he disgraced his family. Yeah, that's basically where I am right there. I was like, I've never had a team lose so many games. So we hope to turn it around. So if you're like that, hey, keep the faith. Keep watching RJ Fantasy Football Talk. We'll try to help you through. We're here every Wednesday at 9. Hit us up on our social media. I'm trying to point up
It's
there.
up,
And then
point
just
up, point
look
up,
up
point up.
here, Facebook, Instagram. We're on all those. If you have other questions, leave comments here. We'll check it throughout the week and hopefully get back with you. Thanks again for joining. You guys make the show great. We appreciate all the questions and all the comments. We'll be back here again next week. So until then,
Peace.
peace.
Appreciate y'all.